Hi, today we're going to be talking about the most important thing that you can do for your child. A lot of people think that the most important thing to do for your child is to buy them presents, send them to the best schools, make sure they have nice clothes, I don't know, have straight teeth, with expensive orthodonture or something like that. In actuality, the most important thing that you can do for your kids is to make them feel like they are worthwhile. What do I mean by that? A lot of times kids can grow up getting this message from their parents that they're not really worth very much. How do kids get that message? It's not necessarily because the parents are telling them you're not worth very much, though some parents do. Some parents might say, what are you good for? You're good for nothing. Or they might say, I can't trust you. You're not responsible. You always lose this. You always lose your things. That kind of a thing. But for other kids, parents can be more subtle. Parents can say, they can ignore them. How do they do that? They might be spending too much time with work, right? Parents who are working all the time and are not around, kids will internalize that message and they will start to believe, even if they're not conscious of it fully as kids, they will be aware that there's something that is not worthwhile for them. In other words, they will somehow make the calculation that if they were more worthwhile, their parents would spend more time with them. So this is definitely true if parents are working all the time, and unfortunately we live in a culture where a lot of parents have to work all the time, whether one parent or both parents are working constantly, which means that the parents aren't home, right? So this is one way that kids get this message that they are somehow not important or not as important as other things. Now, don't get me wrong, parents need to work, right? We all need money, and our kids need us to get to work. It's healthy for people to work, but there has to be a balance there where people are not overworking and they're not using their work as a way to escape from their important relationships. Okay, so work is number one way that parents can possibly inadvertently give their kids this message that they're not valuable enough or not worthwhile or not worthy of their love and attention. Number two is smartphones and internet, right? Even when parents are home, if parents are busy on their phones or busy on their laptops or whatever, especially if they're using the internet, if they're watching YouTube too much, if they are on Facebook or Instagram or other social media too much, WhatsApping too much, and this could even be parents who are talking on the phone too much. Parents need to be aware of how much time they're spending on these things, and they have to be aware of what signal they're sending their kids by constantly being on those devices. And by the way, this could also be parents who are playing video games. Whatever parents are doing on their devices that's taking time away from their kids, they need to be aware of that and think about what message they're sending to the kids, because like I said, the kids will often internalize this message that they are not worthwhile, and that is why their parents are ignoring them. Let's see, another way that kids can get that message is if parents are certainly, if parents are talking to them in a way that is harsh or demeaning or shaming, right? That's another thing which will certainly teach kids that there's something wrong with them and there's something not good enough about them, and something that is a reason why, again, people would not want to be with them. The problem with all these things is that when kids start to internalize this, and like I said, it's not necessarily conscious, but it becomes internalized into who they are and into their identity, and it will actually follow them into their adult life. So you actually have a lot of adults walking around not aware that part of the reason they feel so bad about themselves was because of these messages, whether they were verbal or explicit or otherwise, and very often it is otherwise. Very often it's not verbal, but that these messages have been internalized by these kids who then grow up and believe about themselves that, yes, I am not worthy of someone else's time. I'm not worthy of someone else's attention. I'm not worthy of someone else's love, right? And so these kids often can grow up to become adults who are depressed, who have low self-esteem, and this can manifest in a lot of different ways. So obviously, when you see people who are depressed, this is one way it can manifest, but it can also manifest in someone who is involved in self-destructive behaviors, right? So this could mean people who are acting out with addictive behavior, with sex, drugs, alcohol, this kind of thing. People who are underachieving, right? People who are underemployed, who are not working enough and who are not earning enough money. And this can manifest in a lot of ways in adults who just, in people could find partners, spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends who will treat them bad, right? Because they have, again, internalized this message that there's something wrong with them. So they will, again, unconsciously, not on purpose, find a partner who's likely to treat them poorly. So what can we do about this? How can we teach our kids that they are worthwhile and they are valuable? So obviously speaking to them in a way that shows them that we appreciate them, and telling them it's very important. First of all, I'm surprised when I unfortunately I've heard from many clients in the past that they have parents who never said I love you, right? Who never said I like you, who never said I enjoy spending time with you, who've never said I'm proud of you. If you're not saying those things, you should be saying those things to your kids at every possible opportunity. And even if you think you are, chances are you may not be saying it as often as you think, right? We're much more likely to tell someone what is bothering us about them, right? Stop this, stop that, don't do this, I hate it when you do this, cut it out. And so the kids are hearing that, and they're not hearing the positive messages. So it's very important that we give them verbally encouraging messages, tell them, express to them explicitly how much we like them, to find things. And if they're kids that are challenging for us, kids that maybe get on our nerves or push our buttons, find things to share with them that we do appreciate about them. You're so helpful. You clean your room so nicely, or I'm really proud of you. How seriously you take your homework, or how nicely you share with your little brother or sister. Whatever we can to share that, to share the positive things with them. So that's one thing. Another thing, though, is to spend time. And again, that I can imagine some people hearing this say, well, I'm so busy, I have so much to do, I have so many obligations in my life. So what can you do? So one thing I think will probably help more than anything, and this is something that I have in my practice, I have advised this to parents over the years, and when parents do this, it works like magic. It really is amazing. Is try to find, for each of your kids, you as the parent, try to find 1 hour a week that you can have a date with your kid. And when I say a date, I mean really like a date. Schedule it ahead of time, and during that 1 hour of the week, you and that kid are going to do something that kid enjoys doing. Okay, this is not a time for you to help to clean the kid's room. This is not a time for you to work on to drill the kid on his math problems or his math homework or anything like that. This is not time for you to be talking about any of that stuff. This is a time for you to be doing something that kid enjoys doing, and you need to talk to your kid and see what he enjoys doing, or she, right? So it could be taking your child shopping, hanging out at the mall. It could be going bowling, could be going fishing, could be going for a walk or a jog, or playing sports together. It could be going to see a movie, possibly, if that's what your kid wants to do. But it should not be. This is not time to be learning with them. This is not time to be talking about problems or things that you're not happy about. This is time just to hang out and have fun, and to find time to just schmooze and be together. Right? It's also important during this time that you're not doing any business. During this time, you're not taking phone calls from anybody. If you need to tell people ahead of time that you're going to be unreachable for an hour, you turn off your cell phone, you leave it at home, you leave it in the car. For that hour, you are totally there and fully present with your kid and having a good time. Initially, some parents I've talked to about this, when I tell them this, they get really nervous because they say, well, my gosh, like I won't know what to talk about with them, or if I'm not talking about what's going wrong with them, we'll have nothing to talk about. Just relax and try and be present, and try to just enjoy each other's company, but keep the focus on each other. This is not the time to be probing necessarily, hey, what's going on with you in school? I see your grades are bad lately, or let's talk about some serious stuff. The kids will, if you do this consistently, once a week, consistently, the kids will start to see that you care about them and that you're present for them and you're showing up for them, and they will start to open up and they will start to trust you. And this one thing alone can make a dramatic, huge difference on a child and how a child is doing. A child who's struggling in school, socially, having issues with addictive behavior, just having a parent who's there and can do 1 hour a week. And this may sound, on one hand, this may sound like well, you know, that's so easy, an hour a week. It's actually really hard because, like I said, all of us are busy, all of us have our obligations. If you can find an hour a week to give to your kid, you are giving him or her the greatest gift that you could ever give them. You're helping to build them up and to feel good about themselves, and that is a gift which will last a lifetime. So I wish you lots of success with this, and I'm eager to hear if you have how your experiments go with this. So be in touch.